Hello, YouTube. It is your girl, Dean Easy. I know I owe you guys a lot of stuff. It is in the works. I just haven't had the time to finish everything, but we are back. And I'm going to start with Baddies Caribbean because it seems to be the hottest topic right now. I'm going to cover episode 1 and 2, and we're just going to jump right into it. Zeus Network wastes about like 5 minutes of our time recapping Baddies East, and it's still fresh in our memory because they dropped Baddies Caribbean so soon. I wasn't even expecting it. I'm like, they'll come out in like September or something, so I got time. But no, here we are, and of course we get Natalie's big introduction. I'm not gonna go through all the introductions because literally half the cast are the girls from Baddies East. So I'm just gonna go over the ones that are important to me. And in Natalie's intro, she lets us know the stops that the girls are going to go. So she says Barbados, Puerto Rico, and Dominican Republic, which for the Caribbean, it sounds so underwhelming. All 3 places are beautiful, don't get me wrong, but there's just so many other countries that you could have added to the list, and like you don't even need your passport to go to Puerto Rico. So right off the bat, I'm already complaining about this season. Next we get Scotty's introduction, which she does this every season. She tries to act so tough. In her confessional, she says she's not going to be Natalie's lapdog this season, which I'm sure around episode like 14 or so, Natalie is gonna slap the shit out you. And besides that, Scotty is just so unconfident when she talks trash in her confessionals. You can always see her. She looks down. She slows down her sentence. She's not selling it. And have you guys noticed she did close her gap? Which that and finally choosing a more natural hair color for her, because remember she was wearing those ugly pastels that did not suit her skin tone. She finally looks 10 times better, but still it's always her personality or lack of her personality holding her back. She doesn't deserve to be on the show anymore. Speaking of people that don't deserve to be on the show, Mariah Mariah is back. I was not expecting that. I thought we would have scared her away with all of the criticism that we're talking about, and her confessionals are still cringe. Nothing has changed. I don't know. I don't know why she's back, but at least she can acknowledge that we don't want her there. But it's like, what are you gonna bring something different this time, please? Next, unfortunately, we have Jela. I say unfortunately because I did see her on Baddies South. I did not like her for nothing. We're going to get it more into Jela later when, the whole situation comes up. But I don't like this girl. Now, Jela says that she's been dressing and styling for people, and she has her own clothing line. But if I remember correctly, she is in a lot of debt. She has a lot of lawsuits. That's the part that she's leaving out. I have to do a little bit more research and dig into this more, but that's what the Reddits are saying. So literally my favorite part of this episode is when Jela comes on the boat to greet the girls, and Biggie is just sitting there eating her melon, unfazed. Because this is me. If I don't like you, we don't have to do the fake and phony cordial shit. Just don't approach me. It's fine. Just keep ignoring me, walk past me, whatever. And Biggie is absolutely eating this season with her hair, her makeup, her outfits. Like always, she always gives. And honestly, all of the girls are really giving this season. Everybody has stepped up their makeup and their wardrobe and their hair, because as much criticism that we give Zeus, at least the check's always clear. And this time around, the network got all the girls Baddies chains, which I thought was nice. So Natalie pulls out gift boxes for all the girls, and she hands Scotty her chain first. And this is my issue with Natalie, because last year you fought with this girl because you were saying she is acting too entitled. She gets her way all the time. She gets everything she wants, whatever. But it's like you just always put her first. You're giving her special treatment in front of the girls shamelessly, and then beat Scotty up about it afterwards. That doesn't make sense to me. But we all know why. Scotty gets to go first. Scotty gets the best treatment. But whatever. The chains are the same size as Janisha's Zeus chain. That's all I'm going to say. I'm going to leave it right there. So after they get their chains, Natalie starts being messy, starts trying to call out the elephant in the room. So Biggie takes it upon herself to address Jela. And to be honest, this is where Biggie loses me because, you know, I'm a big Biggie supporter, big Biggie fan. She's losing me here because if all Jela said was that you lost the fight at the reunion against Rolly, which is what everybody was saying, you're going to get offended when Jela says it. I really don't care about this particular beef, and it is a little disappointing seeing Biggie act this way, but I at the same time also do understand she's tired of being the butt of the jokes. But that's something that you have to take up with Natalie, because Natalie started all that shit. So if you're not gonna fight Natalie, then don't fight Jela. Jela is just a groupie, in my opinion. You gotta go for the big dog, like Callie Wade. Now we get her intro and she came for Natalie's neck. She's saying Natalie's too old. She needs to retire. I don't think Natalie casted her. Now Natalie has casted people that have laid hands on her in the past, but it was just a little squabble. Like Callie is literally like, I'm going to come for your seat. And we know Natalie does not like being called old. She doesn't like anybody stepping over her executive producer toes. But us, the fans, have literally been asking Natalie to retire. We have been asking for somebody to smack Natalie into oblivion. So we're just gonna have to wait and see what Callie does. Next, we have Diamond the Body, who was at the auditions for Baddies Caribbean, but she's also from Now That's TV. Now, full disclosure, I haven't watched Now That's TV, so I don't know this girl. And I just want to say very quickly that I see a lot of people coming for Sapphire, calling her a horse face, when I feel like Sapphire is gorgeous. But the actual horse face here, come on, I'm sorry. She's not that pretty to me. She's not a baddie. I hate her lisp, and that's no shade to people that have lisp, but it's just the lisp with her face, with her voice. Her voice does sound tired. It sounds like she screams a lot, and she did get her ass beat at the auditions, so I don't really think that she could fight like that. But I don't want to be too judgmental already. I need to give her a chance. Last but not least, we get Big Gretchen. You guys, I cannot believe they casted my sleep paralysis demon. What is this lady doing here? Now I'm also not familiar with Gretch. I don't even know where the hell she's from, where they pulled her out of. However, she does seem like a wild card, meaning sometimes you might like her, sometimes you might hate her. So we're just gonna have to wait and see. I don't know. Okay. Skip all the bullshit. We are with Rolly and Anna. They are part of the injured reserve. Rolly, of course, is still recovering from her 15 surgeries. I'm so happy that Rolly is back. Like, I really got a smile on my face. Congratulations to Rolly on her new show. I haven't watched it, but that's because I can't really watch surgery stuff. I'm very squeamish. So many haters were signing the petition saying this is why Zeus never gave you your show, blah, blah, blah. And she proved all of you wrong, including Anna, because y'all remember how she went on live and said, oh, I was at the meeting and they said they weren't going to cast Rolly anymore. Just being the lying ass bitch that I know that she is, the weirdo that I know that she is. Now, as far as Anna's situation with the 3 fractures on her face, I would say obviously it is a man because, like, let's be honest, like, only a man does that type of damage. I hope eventually we'll get to know more of what happened, but for right now, I think the Reddits are saying that Anna was dating some artist in the industry who found out that she was still messing with Mr. Linguini, because as much as Anna tries to deny it, like, we know that you slept your way to the spot that you have now. And the way that Anna's man found out was because she got the clap and possibly gave it to her man. So then that's when her man, gets mad, kicks her out, beats her up. So now Zeus has to house her in hotels, and now she got an apartment, so they're paying for her apartment. This is all, of course, according to the Reddit. I am not really that invested, number one, to be doing this much research. And number two, I'm sure Stunner Girl is just waiting for Anna to say something, and she will soon let us know what really happened. Moving on to the dinner. The girls are having one last dinner in Miami before they leave to Barbados, and the wonderful Aubrey O'Day from Danity Kane arrives. Now, given that she was a special guest, I wasn't expecting her to arrive so soon on the first episode, and I see a lot of people say that Aubrey is out of place here, but I'm actually glad that she's here so she can teach the girls a little bit more about how to be classy and also about the industry, you know, kind of be like a mentor to the girls. Obviously she's there because she is one of Natalie's real life personal friends. Now, she blames the whole Diddy situation as to why she needs to get away and get a vacation, but I don't think she's not gonna let us know any Diddy tea. I don't think so. So I don't know why she just name dropped him like that. But we do know that Lemon Pepper himself did hang out with Diddy at some point. So actually, now that I think about it, maybe Aubrey is already friends with Mr. Linguini. I don't know. But anyways, it seems so far that Aubrey is gonna be my favorite cast member this season. She looks absolutely great now. Before she was looking a little botched, so it seems like she's like fixing her face little by little, and her Danity Kane necklace is so cute. I love it. Moving on to Jela's bitch ass. She finds it necessary to call out Biggie at the dinner when Biggie already said, I'm sitting here minding my business, I ain't say nothing to you. But I love how Biggie doesn't even hesitate to get up, almost like a reflex. And this scares the shit out of the bartender in the back and even Aubrey and even me. Honestly, I was not expecting Biggie to I know she's not pussy, she will fight you, but I was not expecting her to get up this fast. And they really fight behind Natalie's big ass chair, and this lazy ass cameraman does not move so that we could get a better view. So I really couldn't tell you who won that fight, but what I can say is that this has to be Biggie's best fighting performance in the history of her time on Baddies, because clearly the fight doesn't go as the way Jela planned. I'm pretty sure Jela thought it was going to be an easy 1-2 smack her in the face, but when she seen that Biggie was actually landing some hits, yeah, no. And here goes Sapphire, because in her confessional she said something about protecting her little white girl or something. Like, Sapphire is really sitting here behind Aubrey, holding her, comforting her. I don't know what the fuck. And just keep this in mind, because we're gonna come back to this. So Biggie had a good first round, but by round 2 she was already tired. That's my biggest criticism of Biggie. She runs out of stamina very fast. She doesn't like to fight for very long. And there's nothing wrong with that. Good for her. But she still went. Round 2, she came out with this giant knot on her head, and her wig is like hanging by a thread on the side of her head. Jela does have the scratch under her eye, like I said. She has scratches all over her body. Her hair is a little undone, but for the most part, like, Jela is okay. She's fine. And then here comes Sapphire again. Props to Sapphire actually this time, because she didn't do this last season with Sukiyana, but at least here she gets really close to Jela, and she's backing Jela up without touching her, just in her face, telling her to back up and calm down. But I think Biggie and Jela end up fighting for one more round before Biggie calls it quits. And this is why I love Biggie, because even after that embarrassing, humiliating fight with the knot on her head, her wig hanging by a thread, she still goes up to Aubrey, apologizes, and introduces herself. But clearly we can already see the sadness around Biggie's face here. You can tell she just wanted to eat her dinner and go to sleep. So whenever she decides, she's just gonna go to bed and leave the dinner. Next we have Kylie and Bianca and Meatball walk in together. In case you were wondering where they were, I did look up the address. It's called Ampersand Studios, and it just seems to be a rental place. Nothing too fancy, nothing too crazy. So, you know, they weren't really at a restaurant, but they've been messing up so many restaurants with all the fighting. I feel like this time they just said, let's just rent a space with plastic tables and chairs. So as soon as she walks in, Bianca is already on go. So apparently she is one of Mariah's closest friends, because they did film Love and Hip Hop together a while back. Now, I did a little bit of homework on Bianca. I like when the girls come from a previous show, because now I can just YouTube a compilation of so-and-so on Love and Hip Hop, whatever, and their best moments, their highlight reel is in a short video I could just watch on YouTube. And I don't really understand why Bianca is friends with Mariah. Like, Love and Hip Hop literally has a video on YouTube tracking the friendship between Bianca and Mariah. Yeah, I don't understand why Bianca is friends with Mariah, because it just seems like they had this one instance. Without going into too much detail, they did have this one instance where Bianca was trying to holla at this DJ who has a girlfriend. And given that he already had a girlfriend, Mariah went and told the girlfriend that the DJ was meeting up with Bianca at a hotel. And anyway, Mariah is a two-faced, scheming, lying ass bitch, and that's why I don't like her. And that is why a whole bunch of the girls ganged up on her at the end of last season. And I think now even Bianca came out with the text messages saying basically Mariah is pretending like she's not cool with Sapphire to Bianca, but in Sapphire's mind, her and Mariah are cool because they've been working on the Baddies Caribbean auditions together. They've been hanging out together since their little fight during Baddies East. So it's like Mariah is just baiting Bianca right now. So that is where episode 1 ends. Moving on to episode 2. Of course, Zeus left the fight in a cliffhanger. I don't think that will ever change about their editing style. But anyways, the fight between Bianca and Sapphire was so underwhelming that because they left it on a cliffhanger, I would have thought it would have been better, but it was underwhelming. And so far, it seems like both Sapphire and Bianca are pretty stiff fighters. They seem equally matched. I'm not too worried about them. So now it's Callie and Natalie's time to fight. And they're fighting because Callie said online that Natalie needs to retire and that she's coming for her seat. But for some reason, I don't know why Callie is trying to spin it in her confessional, talking about, I just meant that I just wanted Natalie as a mentor. But it's like, if you wanted Natalie to be your mentor, you would have just said, Natalie, can you be my mentor? I don't know if Callie was already casted on the show by that point, but if she wasn't, that is a great way to get on the show. So Natalie was already on 100 when Callie walked in. Callie tells Natalie that she's 45 and she needs to retire. Natalie always gets upset when somebody calls her old, which the only problem that I have towards Natalie, it's not her age, it's just the fact that she doesn't dress or act like her age. I mean, during Baddies season 1, Natalie was very much acting her age, but it's like now that she started to hang around more of these young girls on the show, her style has completely changed. Like, go watch the first season of Baddies and see how Natalie was dressing and acting, and come back now. It's two completely different Natalies. But if Natalie, now that she is approaching 40, I don't think she hit 40 yet, I think she's 39, but now that she is approaching 40, if she, just became more of a mentor to all the girls on the cast and stopped trying to be so divisive and cliquey and respected everybody mutually, like, she could stay on for another 10 seasons. I wouldn't give a fuck. So Natalie ends up throwing her purse at Callie. Here comes Mariah and Bianca snatching Callie's wig off of her because Mariah wants to say that Callie had bumped her and didn't say excuse me. But my thing is, you had more smoke for the girl who may or may not have bumped you, because we didn't see it on camera. You could have just made that up just to be a follower. So you had more smoke for that girl versus the girl who actually took your chain and you were in the same house with her and did nothing for like a handful of episodes. So now everybody's ready to fight. Natalie falls while she swings at Callie. And it's security for me, like, barely attempting to catch her before she hits the ground. But as soon as Natalie gets up, her and Callie do start fighting on the couch. Callie does have the height advantage here, but she actually does land some punches on Natalie. So I have to give this one to Callie as far as a winner goes. Natalie's wig is still intact. She actually ends up taking it off herself and putting on a cap. Meanwhile, security does have to put Callie in the bathroom because literally all the girls are coming after her at this moment, which is nice of the girls to fight together on Natalie's behalf. Let's see if, they still feel that way by the end of this season, but I don't know. That was kind of nice. That was kind of wholesome because she be instigating fights amongst them, and they don't realize it. I feel like people don't realize that Natalie is the cause of most of the fights on the show. So I think Natalie gets upset at the fact that she didn't get any hits in on Callie. So Natalie ends up leaving. She took her wig off just to put on a cap just to leave. Okay, Callie then comes out the bathroom, ends up spitting on Mariah, like right on her face. And I see a lot of people coming at Callie for spitting on Mariah. I know that I have been asking for somebody to personally spit on Mariah since last season. So I'm not really mad at Callie. I'm also not against spitting. I'm just keeping it 100. Spitting does not bother me at all. I feel like if you want to be such a bottom feeder, then you can feed off of my spit on the ground. That's how I personally feel, but I understand. It can be gross and nasty to some other people. Speaking of spitting, we do get Bianca spitting on Sapphire now during their second round. Somehow Sapphire's shoulder pops out, which is fucking frightening. When she told me that, like, I wanted to throw up. I don't know how some people could just, oh, let me just pop it back in and continue. Like, no, oh my God. Bianca, I don't understand this girl's fighting style. I'm still a little confused about it, but she ends up throwing her shoes, and then she starts ripping out pieces of her clothing to throw at Sapphire. But I guess she's just having fun. I think that's what's happening. Next, we get Callie get upset at Meatball for some reason for not defending her, because they did walk in together. But it's like, do you know Meatball? Is that your friend? But Callie does end up throwing her water bottle at Meatball, and then Scotty magically appears. Like, she's always in the fucking way. Scotty's always in the way and appears out of nowhere. And I just knew when the water hit Scotty that she was going to pick up the water bottle and throw it back and completely miss. This girl, everything she does bothers me because she's so lame, and she ends up hitting the security guard, drenching him in water from the waist down. He's lucky that he didn't get hit in the balls with the water bottle. Anyways, I'm done with these bitches. Skip to Tasiki and Biggie having a conversation outside. Tasiki doesn't like that she took Jela's chain. Real, honestly, who gives a fuck? But Biggie gives it back to Tasiki to give back to Jela anyway. But then Biggie kind of gives us some tea here, because she says that Jela was not going to get casted until the beef between them happened online, which could be true, because we know Biggie is the big fish here. She is one of the stars of the show. So anybody beefing with Biggie, of course, they're going to put them on the show. But Jela was also with Natalie on the Dubai trip, and has been since then kind of like being Natalie's lapdog while Scotty gets to take a break. So maybe, I don't know, maybe Jela was supposed to be on the show anyway, because she does need the money. But fast forward to nighttime, it is finally time to get on the plane and go to Barbados. Natalie and her favorites are on the private jet. Meanwhile, everybody else gets to take, it's still like a chartered jet, but it still has that regular airplane look. And I just want to know who all these men getting on the plane are. It seems like these might be like the boyfriends of some of the cast, because they're definitely not security. And then Mariah in her confessional starts talking about the Mile High Club. So I'm assuming the girls are allowed to bring their boyfriends on to at least the plane ride to Barbados. They probably have to find like their own hotel and their own place to stay, like the boyfriends do. But that's nice that, you know, Zeus Network lets you do that. We get Callie twerking on the TSA security person. Callie is, this girl's a trip. I do want to see more of her first before I like ride with her 100%. We get this shot of Tasiki in the plane with this man sitting next to her. I do think that has to be her man that she was crying on about on that Bad versus Wild episode. Speaking of Bad versus Wild, very quick, I told y'all I wasn't going to cover that, because obviously I told y'all the show from the trailer, I just knew that show was going to be trash from like the very, very first trailer before they even started filming. And, you know, I told y'all, so that's why I'm not covering that show. But in that show, we did have a moment where Tasiki was about to fight some girl because they were standing too close to her man. I think this is her man right here. So just keep this picture in your mind for later, because we're going to revisit this later on in this season, it seems like. So now we finally get to Barbados. The house is gorgeous. It's the main house, and then there's a separate guest house we still have yet to see the inside of, but the main house itself is gorgeous. And I just love Aubrey shading the girls in her confessionals. She's saying you can tell these girls ain't never had nothing because the way that they're acting being in this house. She's like, I know the house is nice, but you don't gotta be screaming and acting like that. Also, the Claremont twins finally join. I don't know anything about them. I can't even tell them apart. I hate how botched they are. Honestly, it seems like we're not gonna get much from them. They seem a little dry, basically. The other group arrives as well. Here we go. Jela's bitch ass again. Because she did this on Baddie South, which if you guys remember, Baddie South, that's when we first had the original House A and House B separation. I don't remember. I watched this so long ago. I don't even remember like what the fight was about, but I don't know. It was Jela versus Natalie, and they had to be in the separate houses. And Jela does this weird thing where she like believes it's her show and believes that she's the boss and has to take over like everybody and everything. So back in Baddie South, she self-appointed herself as the leader of House B. And that I remember not liking her at that point. Like that's the moment where I realized I did not like her. If you think about it, Biggie is actually the big dog here because Biggie has had 3 seasons. Jela has only had 2. So technically Biggie does have more seniority over Jela. And if I was Biggie, I would be flipping it on Jela, going to her room, pulling a Scarface and try to get her shit out the fucking house. But no, it seems like Jela is trying to pull the Scarface first. And if Jela had learned anything from last season, you don't get any brownie points for picking on Biggie. That is a very quick way to get the audience to turn on you. But instead, in her own Biggie way, she brings up about being in the same tax bracket, like her and Jela being in the same tax bracket, making the same amount of money. But I think you're giving Jela too much credit. I don't think Jela is in your tax bracket, Biggie. Not that it matters. And then Jela, of course, she gets offended and she's like, oh, like, you know, girls who like focus on money are dusty. When in reality it's because you don't have any money. And then it's Jela, for me, following behind Biggie while Biggie is trying to find her room. That makes Jela a weirdo. Like, obviously Jela is a vulnerable narcissist, and I'm not an expert. Like I said, I just do production and commentary. But there's something weird about Jela. And it's like as soon as I can watch more of her and figure it out, I can tell y'all exactly what she is. But for right now, I'm just going to leave her in the narcissist category. And then we get this back and forth between Biggie and Jela. This scene just goes on for too long, but basically Jela is just trying to poke Biggie and try to get her to fight. But Biggie isn't going for it. She doesn't want to fight. But before we get into it, just really quickly look in the background and you can see Sapphire trying to help Aubrey put on her shoes, which is very nice of Sapphire to do that. But I'm just like, damn, like you are doing more for Aubrey in 2 episodes than what you did for Sukiyana last season. But anyways, all hell breaks loose because Jela finally takes the first swing on Biggie. And Biggie was very much caught off guard because you can hear her say, that don't make no sense. You told me we wasn't fighting. And then she turns to Natalie and says, Natalie, I will never trust you again a day in my life. So clearly there was some agreement between Natalie and production for Jela to not hit Biggie because Biggie already said, I'm not going to fight her no more. Like, we can leave it here. But my response to Biggie is that, girl, this is your 3rd season. You know how these people are. You know how Natalie is. And you should have recognized Jela was on her power trip as soon as she tried to kick you out the house. Like, you know shit's about to go down. She is disrespecting you to your face. But Biggie starts crying. And for me, like I said, I love Biggie. She's one of my favorites. I'm a huge supporter. But you gotta stop crying. You have to stop crying. And in the words of you last season to Smiley, remember when you told Smiley to pipe up? And I'm telling Biggie, pipe up, bro. And then as a side plot at this point, because I don't give a fuck anymore. We got Sapphire versus Bianca round 23. And I hate this for Bianca. I hate that you have Mariah as a friend, because if she was really upset at Sapphire and you being her best friend is fighting with Sapphire, wouldn't you think that she would join you in the fight against Sapphire? She's just watching this. Mariah don't even fight for herself. Like, why are you fighting for Mariah? And Bianca really needs to represent for New York and represent for Harlem, and she is just not doing that. Too busy trying to fight Sapphire. Sapphire is like fucking 6 feet tall. Sapphire is like 6 feet tall. No. Cutting back to Biggie, we do have Aubrey trying to calm her down. And Aubrey almost had Biggie to calm down by having her breathe with her. But then while they're taking a breath, you can hear this little voice in the background saying, "Baddie, baddie, shot o'clock." And then, this is too funny. You can literally see the moment where Biggie is taking her time to charge up. Because she is upset. She's like, "Natalie, every time a bitch gets smacked, you are ready to baddie, baddie, shot clock." And it's Aubrey for me. She saw she was losing Biggie, so she's just like, "Oh, no, wait." Oh my God. I'm not laughing, Biggie, if you're watching this. I'm not laughing at you. It's just that you just be funny without even trying. And I love that about you. And I think all of this could have been prevented had you just smacked Natalie last season when you guys were by the pool and she was getting in your face about the club situation when you snuck ET and all that stuff. That was your chance to slap Natalie right then and there. But episode ends with Sapphire and Bianca round 49. Now in the previews for next episode, we get Meatball versus Gretchen. I don't know exactly the beef between these two, so we're gonna find out next week. I don't even be knowing how these girls know each other. Clearly there has to be some stuff going on behind the scenes, because there's just no way for these two to cross paths in their life. There's just no way. Like, I don't know. Gretchen is too small and skinny to be fighting like Mariah, so I mean, obviously, I think Meatball's going to take this one. And next, we get Tank sending Diamond out the door and back to the United States. I don't feel like Diamond should have got casted, because it seems to me this whole season she's just going to get thrown around by Tank. Like, I just, no. I feel so bad for her. And finally, we're going to get Gretchen getting jumped by all the girls for saying the N-word, which I'm sure they're just going to end the episode right there. Next episode, it leave us on a cliffhanger, of course. But yeah, we'll talk more about the N-word and all that stuff next episode when we get there. That's it for me. I will see you in the next one. Bye.